Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to the online teaching academy Ekalaiva. Class 7 Social Science. In civics, we are going to see the lesson the working of the state government. This is the third part of this lesson. In the previous session, we have seen the structure of the state government. The legislature. The legislature is the law making body. The executive. Executive enforces the law. Judiciary, interpreting the law. Next, the working of the state government. The two houses we have seen. One is the Bhoodan Sabha and Bhoodan Parishad. Bhoodan Sabha is also called as the Legislative Assembly. Bhoodan Parishad is called as Legislative Council, and how MLAs are elected. Then the working of the state government, the functions of the chief minister. Next, the making of the laws. A minister or MLA introduces a bill. It goes under 3 readings. The bill undergoes 3 readings. And it undergoes 3 readings. Simple majority is needed to pass the bill. Then the bill is sent to the governor for his sign. After the sign of the governor, the bill becomes an act. Now, in today's session, we are going to see the factors responsible factors involved in the distribution of resources and services. In India, India is rich in natural resources and human resources. Resources of the country can be used most effectively. Effective use of the resources is one of the major job of the government. Till 2015, this job was done by the Planning Commission through 5-year plan. Then it was taken by the Niti Aayog, National Institution for Transforming India. That means Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog was set up by the government in 2015. The main aim of the Niti Aayog, that is the Planning Commission, is the sustainable development. The main aim of this body is sustainable development. What is the meaning of sustainable development? Without harming the environment, meeting the needs of the people. So, what is the meaning of sustainable? Sustainable means without harming the environment, meeting the needs of the people. Planning Commission. Planning Commission consult the state government while formulating the 5-year plans. The main aim of the Planning Commission is to improve the standard of living of the people. The Prime Minister is the chairman of the Planning Commission. Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is responsible for the economic assessment of resources, for the development of the economic assessment of resources. Now, land as a resource. The state government aims to develop the state with the most effective use of the resources. So, what are the resources which is available in a country or in a state that should be used effectively? Each state government has to ensure the resources are used judicially and the sections of the society get equal access to them. The most important resource is the land. Agriculture. agriculture is the primary source of livelihood. About 29% of the land, 29% of the earth's surface is land. 71% of the earth is covered with water. Nearly 80% of the people in India are involved in agriculture. Agriculture provides raw materials to many industries. India is the second largest producer of rice and wheat. The excess of the products is exported to other countries. Land reforms in India. Most of the farmers are affected by the money lenders. So, in order to protect them, government introduced this land reforms. In order to protect the farmers, government introduced land reforms. The land is distributed from the landlords to the landless people. That means, redistribution of land from the rich to the poor. So, what is the meaning of land reforms? Land reforms means the lands are distributed from the landlords to the landless people, that is from the rich people to the poor people. In India, the distribution of land resources is highly unequal, especially in the rural areas. Land reforms were prioritized after the independence. Prioritize means giving importance. So, after the independence, the government started to give more importance for these land reforms. Rich landlords owned large tracts of land. Tracts of land means large areas of land. And then the plight of the tenant farmers are usually miserable. What is the meaning of plight? Plight means group of people struggling to survive. Group of people struggling to survive, that is the meaning of plight. So, the plight of the many farmers are struggling to lead their life. So, the state government has been trying to correct this gap between the poor landless peasants to the rich farmers. Landlords. Mostly the money lenders are landlords and zamindars. The poor farmers are very much affected by the landlords. They borrow money from the money lenders to satisfy their basic needs. Sometimes the farmers, they cannot able to repay the money. If they are unable to repay the money, they are forced to give the lands to the landlords. As agriculture is a seasonal occupation, most of the farmers lives in poverty. So, in order to protect them, the government is providing loans to them, agricultural loans. As the farmers are uneducated, they are not approaching the banks. Again, they are approaching the money lenders. They get money from the money lenders for the high rate of interest. So, they falls into debt, and most of the farmers are living under poverty. Landlord-tenant law. Landlord-tenant law was introduced by the central government to reduce the burden of the farmers. This law details the rights and the duties of the landlords and the tenants. Farmers. The farmers are living under very poor condition. They are treated very badly as slaves, and they are forced to work on their own land as a tenant farmers, and they are forced to cultivate the cash crops. Bhoodan Movement. Bhoodan Movement means gift of land. Gift of land. Acharya Vinoba Bhave launched this Bhoodan movement in the year of 1950. This movement sought to encourage the people to voluntarily give up a part of the land to the landless people. Vinoba Bhave came to India on a tour to implement his ideas. At that time, Ramachandra Reddy, a landlord, donated 100 acres of land to the Dalits in his village. It shows his humanity. By the end of his tour, approximately 12,000 acres of land, 12,000 acres of land were donated by the landlords. So, the success of this Bhoodan movement inspired the other movements across the world, especially in Odisha and in Gujarat. This is a picture of Vinoba Bhave in the Bhoodan movement. He was born on 11th September 1895. He is an Indian advocate of non-violence and human rights. He is also called as Acharya. He is a social reformer and an eminent philosopher. Now, land reforms. Odisha was one of the first state aimed to make the distribution of land. Odisha Land Reforms Act in 1960 gave the land rights to the tenants for the effective utilization of the land, to make use of the land. The Odisha Land Reforms Amendment Act 1973 put a ceiling on the amount of land a family could hold. Ceiling means upper limit. Upper limit. That means a farmer can hold only a limited acres of land. If they are having excess of the land, that land has to be distributed to the landless people. That is, a family of five could not own more than 10 acres of land. So, there is a limit in owning the land. The priority, while distributing the land, the priority was given mostly to the landless widows and unmarried women. The scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers, that is Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, was passed by the government of India to protect the rights of the landowners belonging to the scheduled tribes. This act was passed by the central government. It remains the responsibility of the state government to implement it. So, what are the acts which is introduced by the central government? It is the duty of the state government to implement it. The Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. It was introduced by the central government to protect the farmers and the landlords. And all the movement which is introduced by the government didn't get success. This Land Reforms Act faced the failure. What is the reason for the failure? Because the landlords agreed to give their land, agreed to donate the land only to transfer the land on papers only, but not in the but they did not give the land to the peasants. Peasants means farmers, agricultural laborers. There were no land records of the land ownership. That's as Odisha is a mineral based mineral rich areas, it is very difficult to cultivate. So, the landlords, the lands which they cannot able to cultivate, that type of lands were donated. So, poor quality of the land were distributed. So, the farmers felt very difficult to cultivate in that land. Agricultural land and some of the agricultural lands were diverted into food crops to cash crops. What is the meaning of cash crops? The crops which is sold in the market directly and which can earn more profit. For example, in Tamil Nadu, the cash crops are tea, coffee, sugarcane, cotton and other spices. These are all the cash crops of Tamil Nadu. Landlords. The poor farmers are very much affected by the landlords. They gave the lands which is very difficult to cultivate. Those farmers were very suffering to cultivate that lands, and they are very much afraid to fight against the landlords, because they are mostly depend upon the landlords for their livelihood. The road ahead. In spite of the government, that is despite means in spite of the government intervention, people in rural areas continues to be deprived for their rights. They were struggling for their rights. The Council of Ministers in the state government has to plan its policies and keeping in mind the demands of the different groups. There are different groups of people in our country. So, it is the duty of the state government to satisfy the needs of all the people. For example, the industrialists who want land to set up the factories, whereas the industrialists need land to set up factories, and the mining companies acquire the land to set up mines, and the farmers who want the land to grow crops, especially the cash crops. So, the state government's responsibility would be to strike the balance between the demands of the different interest groups. So, it is the responsibility of the state government to satisfy the needs of all the groups of people. Industries. In India, mostly agro-based industries are there. What is the meaning of agro-based industries? The industries raw materials which is based upon the agriculture products is called as agro-based industries. For example, sugar industry. For the sugar industry, what is the raw material? Sugarcane is the raw material. Sugarcane comes from the agriculture fields. And one more example, textile industry. In a textile industry, what is the raw material? Cotton is the raw material. Cotton we get from the agricultural land. So, these type of industries are called as agro-based industries. Through agro-based industries, the national income is very low. So, in order to increase the national income, the government has to concentrate in the industrial sector also. Mining. Mining means extraction of minerals, from the earth. So, what is the meaning of mining? Mining means extraction of minerals from the earth. Mining, they dig holes on the earth to extract the minerals. Here, see, you can see they are digging the holes on the earth and they are extracting the minerals. Extracting the minerals like iron ore, copper, manganese, gold and all this, and also petroleum, gas and all this. Agriculture. The farmers depend on their land for their survival. They are cultivating the food crops. The farmers are the backbone of our nation's economy. Now, the land is used for various purposes. For example, the industrialists need land to set up factories. The mining centers mining companies need lands for mining and the farmers need land to cultivate. So, it is the duty of it is the responsibility of the state government to satisfy the needs of different sections of the people. Thank you. To receive our online lessons, please press the subscribe button and you will receive the latest updates. Thank you.